So this is just a quick one while I'm editing my next video about Kat's birthday, and this is a little unusual, but it's a message for Snowkarl, because when I was editing the last video about Phil's meltdown, about everybody stealing your name and derailing the stream, I saw you go from Phil, I'm okay with this, to Phil, everybody's having fun with this, to Phil, is it okay if just these people do it, to, well, fans of yours will understand why you're doing it. And across that period, you got nothing from Phil in return, and when you're in a relationship with someone, even this counts as a relationship. I'll get onto that in a minute, but even this counts as a relationship. And when you have that sort of interaction with them, when you are, for want of a better word, when you are dealing with someone, when you are trying to negotiate and compromise with them, typically they compromise as well. They have to back down from some of their positions as you back down from yours until you both find a level that you're that's acceptable to both. And Phil didn't do that at all. Phil, in fact, he basically doubled down on it. He became more and more certain that he was going to ban people as you went along trying to say, no, don't, this is fine. And he didn't talk to you. His first words to you were, hey, did you see that I banned that guy? He didn't try to negotiate with you at all. He didn't say, okay, well, what about if there's certain ones, which would have been an okay compromise, because you were like, okay, what about if a few people do it, And the fact that he ended up basically ignoring you. He ignored you throughout it. Let's be honest. He ignored you throughout all of that. You were saying, don't ban people. It's fine. I'm okay with it. And people are having fun with it. And what ended up happening to you was you ended up going, right, okay, fair enough. You can ban people. We'll understand why. You were the one that 180'd, not Phil. And you give him money for this, You pay him for this. He relies on you and others like you to continue living the lifestyle he does. And I know that you're probably ignoring all these leaks that have come out in the last day or two. But even so, he has a lifestyle that he lives, regardless of whether you think those leaks are true or not. Let's accept that he has to eat and he has to pay bills and he has to do things, and things cost money, so he needs money like everybody else does, and this is his job and he does it to make a living just like anybody else does. And in this position, his living comes from people like you. So regardless of all those leaks, which I'm putting to either side, the fact is you pay for his living, you pay for the way he lives, you pay for his bills, because his money comes from you and others like you, and in return you should get something from that. And I don't necessarily mean like you should have characters named after you in games, or like Phil should invite you round for tea every now and then. I mean, there should be a higher level of interaction with you than what you get currently, because that interaction between you and Phil, that sequence of everybody's okay with it and I'm fine with it, to fine, everybody will understand why you're banning everyone, along that you got nothing from Phil. And considering that you pay his bills, you are his source of revenue, you should get more from him than that. You should get more from him. You should get an acknowledgement. You should get a okay, well, if Snowkarl's okay with it, fine. You should get a, well, I'm not okay with it, Snowkarl, but if you think it's okay, I'll let this slide for now, or anything like that. You should get something that indicates that he's aware of your position on things, that he's not just ignoring you, basically. He's listening to you and he's taking on board your position. And he doesn't do that. And so from somebody who's had experience of this, it really looks to me like an abusive relationship. It really looks like you are in a relationship where you give and you give and you give, and he just takes and he gives nothing in return, because you pay him money. You are a, you're a subscriber to his channel. You've joined his channel. You are paying him money, and in return you get a few emotes and a crown next to your name. He doesn't give you anything extra. He doesn't give you any other sort of interaction or level of engagement. If you want that, you have to pay extra on top of that. He'll say, "Oh, hey Snowkarl, what's up?" when you log in. And that's it. He'll look at the chat during downtime, and if you've said something favourable to him, he'll read you out. But if you haven't, he will either ignore you or he'll make fun of you, when you say something he doesn't agree with. And he does that a lot. And you get away with quite a lot compared to other people who more or less get banned immediately. You get away with quite a lot because you pay. It's not for any acknowledgement of you as a person or what you bring to his community. It's not from any sort of acceptance of you and your opinions and your beliefs. It's not from any sort of continued interaction that leads to development of in-jokes. I, as somebody who just has a couple of 700 people following me, which for me is mental, but I can recognize compared to people like Phil, it's a low number. It's a very low number. I can accept that. So even me as a small channel, I like that there are some people who do keep coming back to my channels. There's like the DSP Society, who's intellectual hype, fuck yeah, intellectual hype, baby. And there's Necro Swanson, who I do all the black metal things with. And there's Tom G, who I have a running joke about, there's a burger joint near me. And all these things are, memes born of interactions with the people that come to my channel. And I do that because I appreciate that these people are taking the time out of the one life that they have to come and watch what I do and what I put my time into to entertain them, So I get immense validation from that, and I appreciate that, and I want these people to understand that what they do is appreciated, and you don't get any of that from Phil. And so I think what I wanted to say to you was, I just take a bit of time out and just think, what am I getting from this? That's, it might seem obvious on the surface, but just take a bit of time and really ask yourself, what am I getting from this? And if you're another fan of DSP watching this and is about to give me a thumbs down, then you can feel free to ask yourself this question as well. But I wanted to address it specifically to Snowkarl because while I was editing the video and I saw that sequence of events, I realised that you're in an abusive relationship. He's taking everything you give him and he's not listening to you. And instead he's just going about doing whatever he wants regardless of what you say. And this is arguably an incident that did involve you. You didn't necessarily directly cause anything, but because of the format of your name, people ran with that, and that's the thing that wound him up. So it's a situation where you as a person should have a higher level of input than you ordinarily would, because it is something sort of involving you. So he should have listened to what you were saying. He should have listened to your opinions and your beliefs and your thoughts on it, and he didn't. So that's why, in that position, I would think, what am I getting from this? Well, nowadays I would. When I was younger. When I was younger, I was guided by my dick. But, you know, it just stuck out to me because I thought, why would you? And I know a lot of detractors have thought that a lot of many people, but it just stuck out to me because as I was editing it so closely, and it's just sat with me since. I've not been able to sort of shift you should sort of say something about this. You should sort of say to Snowkarl, think about, you know, what exactly you get from this relationship that you have with Phil, you know. And again, Phil, it goes along with other abusive signs that we've seen from Phil, like gaslighting. Because, you know, I'm going to lean this way so I can give it a bit more room to breathe on the screen. But I think the issue that we have is Phil does gaslight, and my response to the Kiwi fan poster is that we're not using these words to sound more intelligent or anything. We're using these words because we do recognize them as, you know, we do recognize the phenomena as the descriptive term. We recognize that this is gaslighting, and the use of them should indicate severity. It's not that we're using too realistic terms to make something sound more serious. It's that the fact that we're using these words should indicate the seriousness of this situation. You know, these techniques are the same techniques as are used in other contexts to achieve the same thing. And Phil used it there as well. Phil used it to justify completely alienating 277 members of his current subs because 3 of them said, this thing is annoying us, and DSP says, this is what you want. You've all told me this is what you want. And not everybody wanted that, and not everybody told him that. But by telling you that, he is trying to convince you that, yeah, people obviously wanted it, which is how you ended up at the position of, well, you know, your real fans will understand, because he was gaslighting you into believing that actually, yeah, this is a bad thing for the stream because it's derailing, and, you know, this is a severe thing that I have to do, but people will understand. You know, this is a severe thing that Phil has to do, sorry, not what I have to do. And people will understand. You ended up at that position because he wore you down by not giving you anything and instead continuing to insist this thing is a bad thing and this thing is ruining things and it's derailing my stream and everything, when the alternative was true, the opposite was true. It wasn't a bad thing, it wasn't derailing the stream. People were having fun with it. The vast majority of people, what is 3 out of 277? You know, what percentage is that? It's not 2%, is it? Less than 2%. It's like 1.5. Yeah, 1.5% of the people who watched Phil's stream didn't like that thing, and because he was scared of losing them, because I'm assuming one of them was OIC. He only acts that way when you big spenders come along, let's be honest. Because he's scared of losing them, he completely overreacted, and he instead chose to gaslight the remaining 98.5% of his stream into believing. And not everybody took it. Not everybody in that 98.5 ended up believing it, because, you know, some people saw through it and were like, nah, fuck you then. You know, some people threw their accounts down the drain and went down with the ship. But the fact is, Phil uses abusive tactics all the time, and seeing it there sort of stuck with me, because Snowkarl, you are a long-time supporter of his. You have been there a while, and he should have far more respect for you, and you should have a level of interaction that's far higher than what it is with him, because you have enabled him to live the life he's led. Again, regardless of the costs, regardless of whether you think they're right or not, he's basically been alive and with a roof over his head and food in his fridge for the last few years because of people like you. You have paid him to live, and he is not grateful for that. And he has a level of expectation that reaches entitlement with that. And the way he treats you and the rest of his fans is shockingly abusive. So following the fact that I edited that video and I can't get it out of my head, I feel like I should just sort of like say, take a bit of time out, however long you need, a couple of minutes, an hour, a couple of days, and sort of really think about what you get from this relationship with Phil. Because I guarantee you can get better than Phil for far less. Not that I'm putting a value on the money that you spend, but I mean, it's your money at the end of the day. But it's still money that you're giving to someone that you might not think deserves it. And you're just being manipulated into thinking that he does. So take a bit of time out and just sort of really think, what am I getting from this relationship with Phil? Because it's just hard to see. And yeah, that's a bit of an odd one, that. I don't know. Really, I just couldn't shake it. I'm sorry for everybody else watching. I couldn't shake it from my head. I couldn't stop thinking about that sequence of events. So yeah, I had to get this one out. I'm sorry. I'll get right back to editing the next one about Kat's birthday, which was filmed now 2 videos ago. It's taken a while to edit because it's a bit longer than I thought it would be originally. But yeah, I'm getting there, so it shouldn't be too long. But I just wanted to sort of get this one out. So yeah, I'll see you all later.